Hello ladies and gentlemen and TV show lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host Brett Murphy, and for today's video we have yet another brand new episode review. And I am going to be reviewing episode 1 of Ms. Marvel. So Ms. Marvel is the latest MCU Disney Plus original series. It follows a young hero by the name of Kamala Khan as she discovers her powers and her place in the world. Now I've got to be honest, this isn't one that I was really looking forward to all that much in the build-up, but I've been hearing a lot of great things and that has since got me pretty excited. For the most part, these MCU Disney Plus series have been pretty consistent. So, can Ms. Marvel deliver too in her pilot episode? Well, we're about to find out. Of course, as always with my episodic reviews, this will have major spoilers in it. So of course, like I've been doing with all of my recent reviews of individual episodes, this video will contain major spoilers. So if you haven't seen episode 1 of Ms. Marvel just yet, you have been warned. Before I hop into the actual review itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my series reviews, so be sure to check that out and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. So first up on my positives list is just that I personally feel that this is a really important character, and I'm glad and thankful that she's finally been introduced into the MCU. Because as far as I am aware of, this is the first major MCU character to be from Pakistan. I think it's great that the MCU is further expanding upon its already fairly diverse roster, and it's awesome for myself personally as well as many others who are interested to learn more about the Pakistani culture, norms, and one of the various languages that are spoken there. I know the introduction of this character in the comics was an extremely big step and very important for a lot of people around the world, so I am thrilled that she's finally been introduced into the MCU. On top of that, it's just another fresh young face to add to the roster, because right now we only really have, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I guess if you want to count Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, maybe Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, and a few others, so that younger team is definitely being built up quite nicely. Next is that so far I am absolutely loving the visual style for this show. It is something completely new and totally unique for the MCU. From the comic book strip style storytelling to the drawings going all over the walls and all over the screen, to the rinky-dink little YouTube videos being done with action figures and drawings and little sets and props and things like that. The neon signs, graffiti, and paint on the streets spelling out text messages and things like that. It's something I really didn't see coming from this series and something I am absolutely digging so far. Next is that on top of the fact that I feel that this is a very important character to have in the MCU, I am loving her so far. And of course that is all thanks to the young actress Iman Vellani. I never questioned her casting to begin with, and now I'm glad that I didn't, because I would have been completely wrong. The MCU nails it yet again because, in my opinion, so far at least, she was the perfect choice. Next one is a big one, because for those of you who don't know, the show is currently being review bombed on a lot of platforms. You can of course chalk it up to a lot of different things, but I believe what the main one is, or at least the one that I am most commonly seeing on social media, is the changing of her powers. And here goes, but I am personally okay and understand why they changed her powers. I believe it's because the Fantastic Four is very much so on the way. Well, actually it's already been confirmed, and her and Mr. Fantastic have pretty much the exact same powers. And they just don't need two stretchy people stepping on each other's stretchy toes. So yes, I understand that a lot of people might be pissed about this, die-hard comic book fans and whatnot, and now she's not a mutant or whatever because it's just a bracelet that she puts on that gives her abilities. Not sure I totally agree with the whole bracelet thing. I think I would have rathered, the usual accident or experiment or spell or something that gives her powers. But I am okay with changing her powers to these cosmic abilities because they still pretty much do the exact same thing. My second to last point is that I am really vibing with the family dynamic so far. Again, a lot of that I feel is coming from the cultural learning at the same time. I love the strict mother, the goofy, fun-loving father, the brother who picks on her but always has her back. Again, it's just exploring their norms and the difference in their family dynamic to my own, and I'm just really enjoying that aspect of the show so far. And my last point is that this may very well be the most relatable character we have in the MCU at this point. Yes, I get that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is also very relatable and young, and Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop, but I feel like Kamala Khan is very much so like a lot of us, or at least the way we would be if we lived in the MCU. She absolutely adores and idolizes these characters. She is totally and completely obsessed with all of them and their stories. But she also has the common struggles of a teenager. The struggles at school and not being so popular, the struggles with really trying to find out who she is, and the struggles at home. Now, I wish I could just continue to rave about this show, but I do have a couple of small negatives. The first one being that it does feel very familiar. Don't get me wrong, I am really enjoying how relatable she is as a main character, but a lot of the story so far feels very much so been there, done that. It just feels like common ground that has been treaded on far too often, especially recently. So really, even though I am enjoying her amazing relatability, a lot of her story, at least in this first episode, just feels far too familiar. And the last negative is, and I was contemplating if I wanted to make this a negative at all or not, but who's the villain of this show? Like, what is the real point? I get that the pilot episode, this first episode that we have, is to show how she got her powers and to get us warmed up and familiar with the character and stuff, and that's all good and well and fine. I didn't mind any of that. But this is the one time that I really do feel that a Disney Plus series really could have used the typical two-part premiere. I feel like I just needed a bit more. I need to know where the story's going. I need to know who the adversary is. As it is with most heroes, they're only as good as their villains. So being that we really have no idea where the story is going as of right now, aside from Kamala Khan has her powers and we have no idea who our villain is going to be, it just kind of left me a bit unsure on how to feel as to where the rest of the show is going to go. As of right now though, like many of the reviews suggest, except for the review bombing people, I mean the actual reviews, this show is pretty damn good and got off to a pretty hot start. I personally am really enjoying it despite some of my negatives. And so, I am going to be giving episode 1 of Ms. Marvel an 8 out of 10. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my review. While you're at it, feel free to let me know what you would have scored this first episode of Ms. Marvel out of 10. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.